with Captain Anderton, and it's basically Lee's private lessons, but we thought we'd broadcast it. And yeah, the Rut Busters were difficult for you because you didn't get a chance to practice all the stuff.
Yeah, and so please don't feel that we're being rude here, but we're going to try and ignore that the camera is on, and instead of Rut Busters, which was very much talking to the camera about things that I'd found frustrating and difficult to overcome as a guitar player. I'll be honest with you, it's the Rut Buster format for me personally is probably not as good a lesson as it is for someone who's watching the video. So I thought, well, Justin very kindly offered, he said, why don't you come over and have some guitar lessons? So every couple of weeks I'm going to be coming over to Justin's and having a guitar lesson. So you're free you're a voyeur. Yeah. As opposed to potentially an active participant in this one.
And, yeah, for me, I was thinking a lot of you guys that like the Rut Busters would probably enjoy seeing how I go about teaching somebody for real, as opposed to just doing it as an exercise in something that you guys might enjoy. And maybe some of the teachers that I've met over the years that wanted some advice on how to start off might find this process interesting. Probably going to be a lot of talking, being that this is the first one also than playing, and it's actually live.
We can't edit anything out or beep anything out, so we better be careful what we say.
Exactly. So we've got to be careful of the swear words. So first thing, I'm going to get my trusty pen and paper out and ask Lee some questions. And some of them might not seem immediately like, why is he asking me that? What's going on? But it will become apparent. So the really important thing if I'm doing a lesson for somebody is making sure that I get you to the place that you want to go and not to the place that I think you should go. Yeah. Right? Because you'll be much more likely to practice properly if you do that. So to start with, I want to talk about 3 songs that you can't play now that you would really like to be able to play, because that'll help refine what the things are that actually you need to be able to do, rather than it just like trying to look for techniques and go, well, I'm not very good at finger tapping or whatever, if that's nothing like what you want to do. So, what's one song that you just start off with one? What's one tune that you'd really like to be able to play or play better if you've had a go at learning it before?
Well, I mean, I might go. This might all be a bit cliche now.
Don't worry about cliches.
So I'm going to go with Little Wing.
Okay.
Little Wing, potentially. Not necessarily the original version, one of the
like a Stevie Ray.
Yeah, maybe. Kind of. So that one.
Okay, so what is it about it at the moment that you can't play, or that you struggle with, or that you'd like to play better with it?
Because I just play all the normal chords. I don't play.
You've never played the Hendrix version. You've never learned the Hendrix, the actual Hendrix one. Okay.
So I'm just playing, essentially, E minor, G, A.
Okay.
So, and I don't play any of the little. What's the proper term for the sort of the new
embellishments?
I don't play any of the embellishments.
I mean, we did a little Rut Buster session on that, but that's probably a good example of one where I've gone, here's how you do all of this stuff, and you've gone, great, that really works in the lesson, and then that's it just
and then the next thing, we just shoot the next lesson straight after, which is
exactly
goes out the other end.
So I think we should definitely we should look at the Hendrix version of that, because one of the things that, as well as having specific skill sets and practicing techniques or whatever, if you've got a song that you really like that you're working toward, you'll tick off lots of those boxes in the process of learning the song, and at the end of it you can go, hey man, I can play Little Wing all of the way through just like the record. So that's a really good one. Are there any technical problems with Little Wing? Are there any things that you like? Can you pick fast enough to do it, or you haven't got there yet? Or
I don't think there's any. No, I don't think technically there's anything in there like that.
That's actually
I mean, I don't play. I can't. Maybe "can't" is too strong a word for it, but I don't hybrid pick.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any necessity in that song to sort of hybrid pick. But
it's all just
but if we do, I find it very alien to use my other 3 fingers.
You'd like
to,
stuff. Or you just?
Yeah, probably would actually. Probably at some point or other would be fun to have some practice routines to sort of.
I'll put that in the possibly later box.
Yeah.
So okay, another song.
I'm going to go something a bit more rocky now. I'm going to probably just choose anything by Led Zeppelin because I love anything riff based. So, I mean, I was noodling around earlier, and I stumbled across Black Dog, you know, and again, it's like, it's such a great riff, and the bit where the guitar part and the drum parts kind of sort of back together again, you just think, oh my God, is that, you know, is anybody actually counting that, or is it just like, is that just like, it just all happens through feel? So that's a cool riff. I like that. And then I suppose I'm just going to throw something in by John Mayer just because he's such a superstar hero and we all love him. But what's your favourite John Mayer song?
For what thing? Like, I love stuff like something like Olivia, or someone like Olivia, for that kind of little riffy, acoustic-y thing. But I also like stuff like Neon is an incredible thing. I mean, that's a real pig. Is it? I can play it, but it's not. Well, I have played it. I've done a lesson on it. I couldn't play it right
do you know what? Actually, maybe let's not. Maybe John Mayer's a bit too cliche in the sense of like for a guitar lesson. I'm going to go back to someone who was an absolute, you know, was 100% kind of like probably the most influential persons I was playing, which is Eric Clapton.
Okay.
And we'll go for something from round about the era when I was learning to play. So we'll do something off the Journeyman album, like I don't know, Bad Love or something like that.
Okay.
Is that all okay?
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a not okay and an okay, because it's your journey, and that's one of the things that, you know, for you as a student of anyone, you really want to make sure that you're doing the stuff that you want to do.
In something like Bad Love, and maybe it's I kind of know the I do know that the sort of the basic I know that kind of basic thing.
Okay.
But Clapton always does this sort of triplety sort of thing in the solos when he sort of plays, you know, there's like, he'll do a bend and then there'll be like, sort of like little, I don't know if it's called a triplet or whatever. And I've never really understood how you're even supposed to do that, you know.
Right.
So.
Do you transcribe at all?
No.
Have you ever?
I mean, it would take me forever to write something down in tab, but I obviously could write something down in tab. I couldn't write music.
No. We don't need to write music. Writing down tab is a really good thing to be able to do, partly to be able to remember stuff again, because as you learn more and more stuff, you'll find that you forget more and more stuff as well. And if you've got it written down, you can get access to it again straight away. So that's a really good thing to do. Okay, so all of these things are kind of bluesy rock for me. So that's our central theme is blues rock.
Yeah.
And the most important theme of that is the blues part, because the blues part underlies all of that, and the key thing there again is vocabulary, which is, I just did this thing at the guitar show, which was all about blues vocabulary. That was the kind of the point. And we've talked about it definitely as part of our Rutbuster sessions, was how important what is to learn the words and all of that sort of stuff. And I think we aiming to play these 3 tunes would be a really nice goal. We just need to figure out what the different what the elements are that you need to be able to play each one. Yeah. So I want to start with Little Wing, just because it was the first one that you did, and I'm pretty sure that you'd be happy about.
Well, I can just feel like I'll just have. At least I stopped butchering it now. If you show me how to play it properly.
Okay. So let's think about Little Wing, and let's think about practice. Okay. So practice time. How much? I know that you were going into work early to do some practice. So how much practice time have I got?
So that's about half an hour before I start work.
Okay.
Every day.
30 minutes, 5 days a week.
Yeah, and then some days there's little things I think would be. I do have the opportunity to grab a guitar periodically through the day. Sometimes if I'm, I don't know, waiting for a report to load or something like that, it's just like 2 or 3 minutes or something like that. So if there was that's more.
You have some guitars at work then?
1 or 2. Yeah, if I, that's something where I just need like go-to scales or go-to exercise patterns that I can just go try do that one for like could literally 2 minutes.
Do you often feel like there's things that you can't play because your technique's holding you back? That you can't play fast enough, or your fingers don't reach
Yeah, I mean,
far
I
enough
certainly
away?
can't. That probably both of those things. I mean, certainly when it gets to like a Joe Bonamassa kind of some of those sort of Eric Johnson-y kind of inspired riffs that he does, I just can't pick fast enough.
They're just really hard.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't mean even, but even that maybe I probably can't even get to half that speed, let alone full speed.
Have you ever worked on your picking? Have you ever played scales with a metronome?
Yeah, I mean that was probably the one thing that I did from when we like number one Ruck Buster, which was and again, I found it. I could play the scales without thinking too much about it with this hand. And but you massively threw me because you said I want you to literally up down alternate here, which I then had to think about. And and then this hand starts going wrong and everything because I'm just going, why can't I just go up and down?
Why is it important? Why is it important to go up and down with the picking?
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons why, because I could, if I wasn't thinking about it and this hand was just going in kind of whatever direction it wanted to do, everything seemed fine. And as soon as it was like, no, come on, think about it.
Right. So there's a couple of things. It's really important that you understand why that is. So if you're alternate picking, there are lots of times, like just when you played me that example then and I looked at your picking hand, you did the economy picking. So you went down, up, down, down.
Yeah.
So the pick kind of drags down onto the next string. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people that use it really effectively. But when you strum, nearly everybody strums with the hand being a consistent motion. So even if they're not playing so much, it's got that motion. And what you'll find is a lot of times when people are playing solos, you stick with that. So not every time, but a lot of the time you'll be playing a down pick on the beat, and then either off beats will take a down or an up. We've got to talk about that in a separate conversation, but it'll be either 8th notes or 16th note picking. Yeah. You generally, and I mean, there's a lot of people watching this thing become, that's not true, but it as a general starting point, it's a good idea, right? So when you're practicing playing scales with a metronome, you're training a whole bunch of skills all at the same time. One is the actual motion of the pick going down and up and being able to control it, because you should always do things that you want to do, not just because it happened that way and then you might practice a bad habit. So that's thing one. Thing two, you're developing this down feeling on the beat, which will be really helpful to keep your solos in time. Because it's not just rhythms guitar that needs to be in time. Lead guitar needs to be just as in time, if not more in time, than the rhythm part. It also works on the synchronization between your two hands, so that even if you're playing slowly, if you're picking and putting your finger down at exactly the same time, that synchronization of them gives you a better, clearer note, rather than the finger going down early and then the pick happening. So getting fast isn't necessarily about playing fast, it's about improving the synchronization, because the faster you go, the more in sync the pick and the fingers have to be.
It was I think 2 notes per string. I'm really not having to think about it. But as soon as you introduce the idea of 3 notes per string, or even worse, where 3 notes on some strings and 2 notes on the other, I inevitably, and I don't think I ever, I mean, I saw the economy picking video in 1985 or whenever it was that came out. I don't think I ever really went, oh, that's the thing. But it just, if you've gone down, up, down, the next downstroke is down.
Wants to be down. I get it.
But so to go down, up, down, down,
up.
Sorry, down, up, down, up,
down, up, down, up, down. Yeah. It's weird.
It's horrible.
Okay.
But
I think that's going to be one of the things that we work on, just because there are so many potential benefits from it. It's not the only thing I don't like about it is not immediately relating to. Oh, hang on. It is.
You are just
that's
doing
exactly
that.
So by training up that thing, that's going to help. and I'm starting with an up. 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, and down, 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 up, down, 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 down. This is exactly. That's exactly what's happening, and I'll guarantee that's what Jimmy Page is doing as well, because that's what feels right when you do it. If you were doing a series of up or downs over that, it's like if you're trying to strum something and you deliberately try and do 2 downs or 2 ups in a row, it goes, it makes the skateboard wobbly. Yeah, it's like, oh, hang on, things are not. It's like when you're cruising and that everything's moving consistently. Yeah. It keeps you kind of in the groove. So that's one technical thing that we're going to put on there. Now, I can't remember much of the Bad Love or the solo in it to be straight on. So I'm going to have to research that, and not with the cameras going, just because we get into copyright problems if I play tracks or whatever. So
I can't remember what key it's in, but it's the same.
Okay, we're going to listen to that at the end, and this isn't one that I'm sorry that we can't film that whole thing, but that's I'll have a listen to it just because I want you to have, if you can, within the 2 weeks, if you can find one 1 hour slot on top of your normal practice, I want you to have a try at transcribing. Okay. Now, part of the reason for the transcribing and why I'm really insistent on it, especially for anyone I'm doing a private lesson with, it's just like, you're going to have to do something with it, but when you transcribe, you pick up a lot more than just the notes. Because you have to listen so intently, and you're likely to listen to that one lick like 30 times trying to get it, you'll pick up on exactly the phrasing, how it feels, how loud what notes are played, whether there's a little bend, how much of a bend, and a lot of that you won't even think about. You won't be consciously trying to write down, oh, that one's got a little bend, that note's louder than that one. But just in the process of doing it over and over again, almost like trying to learn a language, like learning French, by just listening to the same word over and over again, you'd pick up all the subtleties of a way it's really said, rather than the way it might be written down in a book. Do you see the difference? So on your practice sheet, we're going to have one transcribing session every 2 weeks for 1 hour. And we're going to start with trying to do as much of Bad Love as you can, and you're going to write it down. Right? So I'm going to give you some blank tab paper, and you're going to just literally try and listen to I'm going to listen to it as well and give you a key, so you'll know what key it's in as a starting point, so that I'm not going to just set you off completely blind, right? So we'll say, it's in this key, it's going to be basically around this scale, so see how much of it you can transcribe. Okay, that would be a really great thing to do.
Including the chords as well?
No, just the solos. Just the solos.
The licks and the solos.
Just licks and solos, because chords, for most people, are a little harder to transcribe. They're actually not. I'm going to give you some tips on that later, but I want you to start with just developing your confidence in your hearing by trying to work out if there's I'm going to listen to it, and I'll put a note in on the YouTube. I'm trying to forget they're there, but I know that they're going to say, oh, I want to have a try of it as well. I'll put some notes about this learning Bad Love by Eric Clapton in the description. Actually, I'll put it on the website because it'll be easier for me to do it that way. But yeah, that'll be your little transcribing. Okay, just write this down as well. So we're going to have picking the major scale, and I'm going to give you a proper little routine in a second, which I'll share with this lot as well. Major scale, metronome, Mark, we need to get you
I have your metronome app, and very good it is too, the time tracker one.
Glad that's working.
And I do use that to do scales too.
Good. Do you know what speed you've played your major scale at?
About 115, 120, something like
115. How many picks per click? 1 or 2 clicks? One, like dung, 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 or tick, 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 tick.
I'm gonna have to start the metronome to even answer the question.
That's all right.
At least it proves I have actually downloaded the proper Justin.
Absolutely.
115.
Okay, so give me a look at the.
Oh yeah, so if I'm doing, it is. But in fairness, I will often go just.
except you're not alternate picking. Okay, just stop there for a second.
Yeah. So I'm.
If what's really key with these things
Yeah.
is that if you practice it wrong, you're practicing the wrong thing more.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So I'm just increasing the bad habit.
You're much better off, and again, it's almost like you're writing code in your mind. So if you every time you do that the wrong way, you're making it harder to do it the right way.
Right.
So if you knock that down to 80,
Yeah.
and you do it again, but you just really concentrate.
Yeah.
Also, say it out loud.
Oh, down, up, down.
Yeah, I know it'll feel a bit ridiculous, right? And I don't want you to feel like, oh God, Pete's going to be laughing at me for saying it out loud. Because you'll notice if you do it, that's it.
You know what? I remember this now. I have to physically do the motion more with my arm than my wrist.
Okay, I don't want you to do that either.
No, because it's like, it kind of helps me kind of get this, like, I'm going up and down.
Okay,
but it's
try and get it feeling from the wrist. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
At least we're going to talk about the picking technique afterwards. I need you to get the down and ups right, and then once you've got the down and up motions right, we're going to start talking about how to refine that. Keep going. No, okay.
But anyway, whatever. I agree.
No, okay.
I must practice more.
I want you to, when you're playing the major scale, I want you to use the full range of this pattern one. So you start on the root note. I want you to go all of the way up to this note, and then back down. And when you get back down to here, I want you to add that note in before turning around. Now, right now, it's not so important, but I'm prepping you up for longer term. Right now, you're doing one note per click.
Yeah.
Within 3 or 4 months, I'll probably expect you to be doing 4 notes per click at this speed, right? When you're doing 4 notes per click, 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 click. Yeah, if you've added that note and that note, you end up coming back onto this in a really nice cycle. Okay, so G major scale all the way up to the note A, all the way down to the F sharp, but making sure that you're starting on the beat. That's it.
I'm doing it. I'm not even. As soon as my brain goes, oh, I didn't do an up and down like that, the whole thing goes to shit. But
okay.
To pot. Sorry.
But
Children.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, do it slow enough to concentrate.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the. You know what? I find that not demoralising is the wrong word. Embarrassing. That I've literally got to go back to playing something so slowly to get it right. And I'm almost embarrassed that's the kind of the speed that I've got to go at in order to make sure the picking
do you realise that? And I don't say I nearly said even for me, like I'm some mega guitar player, but I've still got a lot of stuff to learn about playing guitar. When I'm learning a new song or a new riff, I play it incredibly slowly. It's one of those things where the slower you go at the beginning, the faster you'll learn it. A really good example of that, when I learned Stop This Train, the John Mayer thing, the first, like I transcribed the riff first of all, so I kind of knew what was going on. I spent a bunch of time watching his videos to learn how he was doing the click, but then I literally sat there going, no, I can't remember. So the first riff, that's the first bit. The first day was this. This is sounding really weird because I'm getting the click on it. Clicking, but it doesn't do it on my acoustic guitar. But I literally sat there working on getting the click with that thumb for like half an hour.
Right.
Really slowly. Get it? Getting my thumb to land in exactly the right place with the right click before I'd got any other notes in. And people don't see that very often, therefore they kind of assume that I listened to it once and then I transcribed it and then I could play it all the way through. And it's just not. There's a great interview with Steve Vai talking about one lick from like 2 or 3 records ago, and he spent, I think it was a month he said he spent on this one lick, and it's like, and it's just one little bit of one song that he spent hours and hours and hours and hours on. And we don't see that. We don't understand that those
yeah.
people are really putting that many hours into their stuff. I'm sure if, I haven't had the pleasure, but I'm sure if we can get John Mayer in one day to have a chat, he'll talk about when he was at Berkeley that time, that he must have worked his arse off. There's no way that he got that good by just mucking around.
I think I might. This sounds like a good. Speaking of Berkeley, I shall plug this to YouTube now. I think we've got Alan Hines coming in November for a masterclass. 30 years teaching at Berkeley.
Wow.
Monstrous kind of bluesy jazz.
What's he doing to come over? He's promoting
I'm just
Berkeley.
paying him.
Are you paying him?
It's one of those
Okay. No. Well, normally it's people have something to promote. So it's like,
no. It's just
Scott Henderson wants to come on the show because he's got a new record out.
Yeah, we're just inviting him and paying his fee.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah. That'd be fun for one of the workshop things.
The things so a little we'll do a video in the afternoon and then he'll do some sort of class in the evening.
Yeah,
should
cool.
be fun.
I was gutted I missed the Tom Quayle one the other day because I love his. He's a monster guitar player.
You just want to put your fingers in the guillotine.
Oh man, yeah, it's phenomenal. Just
I bet he doesn't sit there going.
No, okay. So here's a really good example. So. Actually, that's completely not true because I remember it was either a Facebook post or some social media thing where I think he'd injured himself, and he was, when he came back to playing, he was talking about having too much tension in his little finger when he was playing, and that he had to go back to like mega slow practice in order to get rid of the tension in his finger. Now, I might have to dig it up and send you a link because I'm pretty sure it might have been a video where he was talking about it. But he stresses on all of his, because I bought some of his instructional stuff because I love his legato. The lines are so smooth that I want to try and steal some of that one day. And he talks all the time about really slow, careful practice, and that because you just have to. It's not. I'm not making it up. Right? All of the guys that I've spoken to that I consider way better technically than me, or even every way probably, but they all say the same thing. It's just slow practice and getting it right rather than just rushing through it. Yeah. So. We've got the major scale now, and we've got 30 minutes, and I want 10 minutes of that to be mucking around. So we're going to have 10 of fun, and when I say mucking around, I just want you to play whatever you feel like for 10 minutes with a timer still, right? So I want you to set 10 minutes on the countdown timer on your phone, hit start, and then just play whatever you like. And it could be the stuff that we're working on. It could be something unrelated. It could be, I just want you to enjoy playing the guitar. Well, I think that's really important.
And I think that'll, because that's where I find the looper most fun. You know, so just to do a bit of looping and mess around.
Just have some fun with it. We're going to have 5 minutes on the major scale.
Yeah.
We're going to have 10 minutes on little wing practice. Now, I have a really comprehensive lesson on little wing, the actual Hendrix one, right? I did it. It's 10 or 15 years old. It's in really crappy video quality. But I spent... Can
I get it on VHS still?
You can still get it on VHS,
into some dodgy thing.
It's on YouTube. It's old, but I really spent a lot of time, because I was a big fan, I spent a lot of time really trying to get it right. And I'm fairly confident I got it the correct way, and the lesson is good, even if the quality of it's poor.
Yeah.
So what I'd rather you do, if you get a chance, is to watch the video externally, and then just learn it one little chunk at a time. And then practice that for 10 minutes a day. So literally, again, put it on. I'm just trying to... if I can... I've got the funky psychedelic tuning going on today.
I love that. I don't know what it... There was looked like a slightly longer stretch where the little finger came into play with that. That might have been just before that, but anyway, yeah, nice.
Nice tuning. So, when I'm talking about like a little chunk of
cheap guitars you keep buying.
See, what I need to start shopping at editors. You don't sell guitars at editors, these cheap rubbish. So when I'm talking about a little bit at a time, you might start with... That's it.
Yeah.
And then you just work out. How does that go? Is it? How long's the drag?
That sort of detail.
Yeah, really listen to it so that when you go to play it, it sounds right, and then make sure that you remember it. Okay, yeah. I can't remember exactly what it is myself.
I'll look it up on the video.
If you get to this part, okay, now you're going to enter a whole heap of little technical things, because you're going to go, well, when I play this chord, how am I muting all of that stuff? And this is what I just want to take you through this little bit now. That's it. So we want to make sure the thumb is muting that string. So playing this one, muting that one. Now the tip of that finger also needs to mute.
You don't want this one ringing.
That's it. Now, when you first start trying to play that one, I want you to pay a bit of attention to how it's going, what notes are ringing out. I'd move that first finger down just a little bit. There we go. That's
so if it's more comfortable to mute that with that finger, or is it not? Should I?
I don't know. If that works for you, you can do that if you like, but I'd rather you try and mute it with the second finger as well, if you can. Have you done this? That's it.
Yeah, that's quite. I find that this second finger is a long. Well, it's a long way from muting that D string unless I really make a conscious effort to sort of.
Hang on, just lift up there. That's it. So what's happening there? Your first finger, because it was sitting on here, Lee, was pulling that down, and then when you were putting your second finger on, it was all further away. That's it. That's better.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no.
You're going to have to muck around with that a little bit. There's going to have to be a little period where you go, and this is what why I wanted to start explaining the tune to you, was as you go through learning each little section, you're going to find there's a new problem presents itself. I don't want you to go over it trying to get each bit like absolutely perfect like the record, but I want you to feel confident with it under your fingers before you move on to the next bit.
Which joint of your thumb? I mean, I think I got taught probably wrongly when I was young, like in my teens and sort of getting lessons, there was this thought that actually the thumb shouldn't creep round, the thumb should sort of stay. So I
thought that for a long time.
Yeah, I never really learned to play any of the sort of the notes on the bottom E string with my thumb. I would always bar like that. So I find literally from one guitar to the next, I find it that change very different feels from one guitar to the next as to how comfortable it is to have and I never feel fully comfortable. I never really feel like I've got a firm.
I don't think, unless you've got like John Mayer hands, which are enormous, I don't think any of us feel that it's like super even I've been doing it for a long time, I still feel like I could have a more positive contact with the note. It's definitely here in my thumb, right? It's not.
So it's not the joint then that's actually on the curve of the neck. You mean?
It's if I just I'm just going to press down really hard so that I get a groove with my thumb and you can see exactly where it is. So it's here.
So it is just slightly. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera there. It's not if that's the joint in your thumb. It's about 2 or 3 millimeters further into the fleshy bit.
But
that's actually
it's a little bit different for everyone. So it wants to be. You need to find where it fits for you because everyone's hands are different sizes, right? So if you've got a small hand, you might just be able to grab it with the tip of your thumb, whereas if you've got a really big hand, you might be able to grab it with here, you know?
Yeah, and depending on how far over you arch the thumb, massively depends on whether I'm able to get that top E string then to ring without some other part of my hand.
I want you to start with that, right? Put those fingers on first. That's it. Now, wrap your hand around. That's it. And then... But make sure you can keep where those notes are ringing out.
You know what? That's where you can actually begin to feel that having the thumb, the further over the thumb is, the more it's hard to get this top E to ring. Yeah. So actually you're right, just having that.
But you want to start with those fingers. That's it. So you got those notes clear. Now if you could if you could get within, that's it, yeah. If you could get as much as, okay.
Oh man.
I'd use my little finger for that.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really.
That's it. That's it. So that already is a really, that's one of those riffs that when you learn it, you're going to have to go through a little period where it's like, oh, I can't do it, it's so frustrating.
I suppose you could play that anywhere,
but
then, can't you?
exactly,
Like,
and every variation of it anywhere on any song that you play, and it becomes like a really important tool that you can use. It's not just, and that's why I was kind of happy about, and we didn't discuss this before, but I'm really glad that that's one of the ones that you picked, because it means that we can learn a whole bunch of different skill sets, and as well, later on start to talk about the theory of it, how it works, what are the chords, what's the harmony of that song, how does it work, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of chose Little Wing as well because it is the most butchered guitar song of all time. And so I thought, predominantly by me. But that's really hard. You know what? It's all, again, I don't feel disheartened by it, but I'm surprised again that a guitar player that's been playing as long as I have is struggling with a relatively, struggling to get.
That's not a relatively easy shape. So I'd been playing guitar for at least, I don't know, 10 years before I even started to learn to do the thumb over. And I kind of rejected it at first. I found it really difficult, and I was like, no, I can't do it. I'm not good enough to do it, so therefore I'm going to leave it. But it got to the point where it was like, no, I really love this Hendrix stuff. I need to learn how to do this. And it took for ages. It was just, I found it really frustrating, really difficult. I couldn't do it. I was trying to move my hand this way, move my hand that way. But after a while, things started to come together. It's one of those, and you just have to persevere.
It's purely the frustration of knowing that I just want that one to ring.
Yeah.
And even then I can feel, it was weird.
I would suggest that some of that top note ringing out is because where your first finger is sitting at the moment, because you're trying to cover all three of the strings, it's sitting right here. The thinnest string is sitting
in the
exactly.
joint again.
So if you try putting that on the thinnest two strings, just try it for me. So thinnest two, that's it.
I see, okay.
Then try that one. Yeah. It is though sitting. Look, it's sitting right in the hole of that crease of the fingers. So put it down even more. That's it.
It's funny, isn't it?
Look, you've even got a wear marker to show you where to put your finger.
If only these were true and not completely contrived. Oh man.
That's it. Okay, so that's
yes. Okay.
That'll be your first one. So we've got 10 minutes of fun to start your practice. So when you come into practice, first thing I want you to do is 10 minutes of fun. Use the looper if you want, or play some songs that are too hard, or just jam on an idea, or just literally whatever you want that's going to be fun, just to kind of keep the playing thing. And I still do that. So when I'm sitting down to do an hour's practice, I do 10 minutes of just having fun. Right? I just muck around with ideas, try things that I might have seen on some video of somebody doing something that I can't do, whatever. Yeah. Then you're going to go into 5 minutes of the major scale with the metronome, really concentrating on the down and the up. And I know it's a little bit boring, but the benefits are going to start reaping the rewards in the next couple of... Oh, God, that was breaking up. Okay, then you're going to work on 10 minutes of little wing practice. Okay, again, use the timer so you don't overrun, because I don't want you to eat up like your whole half an hour by having fun or too much on the scale. Even if after 5 minutes on the major scale you're feeling like you could keep going, I want you to stop. I don't want you to overdo it. So 10 minutes on little wing, the first couple of sessions will probably be watching the video. If you think that you're not going to remember stuff, write it down. Tab it out. Write down your own tab. Get used to writing down tab because it's your friend. It's so easy. It's just literally, oh, there's 2 3s there. Write 2 3s on the thinnest two, the top 2 strings of the thing. You know how to do it. I think you're a bit apprehensive because you've just not done it enough. You know, and it'll take you no time. Probably within 2 weeks, you'll come back and go, yeah, I can write tab out anything that I want. Right? So it's not going to be difficult for you. Okay, and now we've got 1 5-minute practice slot again. Now, we've already got our 60 minutes of transcribing in each week or each 2 weeks or whatever. And I would normally be insisting on a 5-minute slot of some sort of oral training, but that's kind of taken care of that little bit. So it's just trying to think now, my gut feeling would be, a good thing, being that a lot of what we're talking about is vocabulary, would be to get you doing a lick book. Now, have you ever thought about doing a lick book before?
No.
So, when I watch you play, there's certain licks that occur very frequently, and that's fine. That's the same for me. That's not a criticism. But what would be a really interesting exercise for you to do will be to make a little lick book. Literally, again, it'll be writing down tab. So, muck around on the guitar like you're, and do it in a blues context. So, right, I'm playing a blues, I'm having a jam with Rob. Rob's come over, we're gonna have a jam in the key of A. What would I play? And you go, or you go, or there's licks that you use a lot. Write them down. Right? Now, you'll probably find that in the first session of doing that, you can find 20 licks that you use all the time, right? But then I want you to start improvising and thinking about trying not to use those 20 licks and what else have you got. And you'll probably find over the course of a week that you've written down almost all of the licks that you know. Right? Now that's a really, really useful thing because that's a tool that we can sit down with together and go, look, you've got that lick, let's look now at how many different ways we can vary that lick, because it's a lick, it's a word that you can already use really well. So we can then work on expanding that lick. We can look at technically what's going on with it. We can look at developing the technique of it. But it's really helpful for me if I can see what licks you've got. We'll also start doing things like giving you some new licks, but you're not allowed to use the ones that you've played before that are in your lick book already. Sometimes we'll look at deliberately using them with the new licks so that we start combining the new techniques and new licks that you've learned with the stuff that you've known already. Okay, so I think that's going to be your 5 minutes of lick book.
Is there another scale as well as, or not another scale, but another position that I could play that G major scale in that,
funnily enough,
my first to second finger stretch is poor. You know, I still find stretching first to second finger across 2 frets quite uncomfortable.
Okay. I don't think we need to do that yet.
Okay.
I was tempted to give you another major scale pattern just because I can tell that you've worked on that one with the wrong picking, and I feel like if I gave you a completely new scale that you might face less of the difficulties with that. So I was toying with that, but all of the ones that I like have got an extra complication. Just let me think whether I can do that or not. How that would work.
Because I don't.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to do that one yet because it's 3 notes per string, and that way you've lost those 2 notes on the strings that cause the problems.
Right. Okay. Fine.
So the other one that I thought about doing was doing G major scale. It's the same one. But you start here, go down. So you've moved the 2 notes onto this string, which makes it another problem. Let's stick with pattern 1 for this week. Let's see how you do, and then next week, if you're still really struggling to make the right motions, then we might move it to another scale. That's it. See, definitely, we need to explore a little bit actually how your picking's working and where your anchor's working too.
I have to be so.
Watch your hand for a second and do it.
See, but how I pick there is not how I would naturally pick. I'm forcing myself to go up, down, up, down, up, down.
Right. Can you try and pick it normally and say up and down at the same time, or down, up at the same time?
Down, up, down, up, down. You see, I'm saying it. I'm not doing it. So that's.
Yeah, no. But you notice the thing is about saying it is not to make you do it. It's to make you notice when you muck it up. If you say it out loud and you do it wrong, you'll notice.
3 things. So I've got to do this hand, this, and say it at the same time. This is my male
you
brain
can totally
can't do
say
this.
down, up, down, up, down, up while you're doing something else.
All right, down, right, down, up, 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 down. No, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Okay, but do you see that when you're saying it out loud, one, you know what it is that's next, because if you've just said down, you already know that the next one is up. You're not. It would be really difficult for you to go down, up, up, down, up, or whatever. You're going to say speaking correctly.
I mean, it's because I know I'm relatively, my picking action would be relatively relaxed and all from the sort of really from the sort of the wrist movements or even smaller finger movements. But as soon as soon as I'm going, come on, down, up, down, I feel the tension kind of move sort of up my forearm to sort of kind of go, right, it's got to be like, it's almost like I am strumming it rather than picking.
I mean, that's I want you to feel it's like that, because I want you to feel down, up, down. I want you to feel that's the motion, only I just don't want you to do the big funny hand thing.
Yeah.
See how you get on. Like if you've got 2 weeks of 5 minutes a day and you're going to do it really slowly, maybe the first few days you're still doing that funny movement, but once you've cracked the feeling that I've got it right, I'm doing those the motions the right way, then I think you can start thinking about trying to make your picking. You're doing it, Lee. You practiced it wrong again.
I know.
Down. No.
I did it wrong again. I don't even know I'm doing it.
So
now.
no, because you're not saying down and up out loud. Lee, listen. Lee, focus.
All right. Okay.
When you now, this is especially important. If you're practicing at work in front of the computer, don't grab your guitar up and play that scale if you can't say it out loud.
Right.
Because you're not going to sit in the office with the other people at their computers and
go
down, up, down, up, down, up. Because you're going to feel
my office is I'm the only person in my office. It's the morning one where the rest of the video crew are kind of buzzing
so
around.
if you don't want to say down and up and down in front of them, don't do that practice there where they can hear it, right? Because you need to say it down and up out loud, because it's when you said it out loud, you noticed every time and you managed to fix it. Because every time you practice it wrong, you're further ingraining the bad habit.
No, it's fine. That's,
I know it's going to be frustrating,
it's the toughest thing of having played a certain way for so long and then undo
and
that.
I'm sure loads of people will feel the same way when they're learning. I've taught loads of people that have the same feeling, but I'm telling you it's worth it. And over the coming weeks, you're going to see how it's worth it. Just if you can give me that first couple of weeks and just blindly go, I trust him. He's not going to be making it up. Other people are watching him tell me this shit. If he's made it up, then
What's the? I mean, I don't want to kind of freak myself out here, but like at some point or other, presumably you'll go back to going. But in this instance, the sort of the more economy kind of picking, or is all your picking up, down, up, down, up, down?
So, it's nearly my picking is nearly all based on this playing a down pick on the beat.
Right. Okay.
There are times where that changes, like if you've got a triplet, you can't go down, up. What are you going to do to come back to a down on the beat again? So then you have to either have down, up, down, up. So you would have to pick an up pick on the beat, but you keep the alternate picking, or you go down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So there are times where the stuff doesn't work, right? But the really, really important part of this is the capturing the continuous movement of the hand. If you watch guys like John Mayer, when you watch them play, they're doing that stuff all the time. A really nice exercise for you to do as well if you get extra, like if you're at work and you've got this 5 minutes of loading time or whatever waiting for something to download, watch some videos of your favourite guitar players with the sound off.
Okay.
Try it, because you'll start to notice how they're playing, things like Clapton using his second finger most of the time when he's doing... I find it really uncomfortable. It's just weird. But he does that stuff all the time, and I never noticed until I watched it with the sound off. Because when I watch it with the sound on, I'm always distracted so much by the sound and the pitch and enjoying the music so much that I don't feel like I make sense of the technically what's going on. I should credit that tip to Dario Cortese, my mate. He told me about the watching with the sound off, and it was like, whoa, why wasn't I doing this like 100 years ago? You know? So that's the kind of thing that you could do if you were to get up Bad Love. Let's see if you can Bad Love Live, Eric Clapton on YouTube. Sound off, doesn't matter. You're at work anyway, so just watch what he's doing for that 2 or 3 minutes, and you'll start to pick up on stuff that when you go to transcribe, things will start to make a little bit more sense because you'll be able to actually see what's going on. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yes.
Okay. So you're gonna. I need to print you off some manuscript paper. I'll give you a pad if I've got a spare pad over there. I think I do.
We might sell manuscript paper at work, so
really?
I'll probably get
some.
You
do? Okay. It won't be JustinGuitar manuscript paper.
No, that's true.
Better.
All right. Well, I'll get some of yours then.
No. So that's your routine worked out. I'm now going to print and type you up a practice routine for you to start ticking off, which I will do a screen grab of and put it up for the people that have been watching this stream. I don't know how many people are watching the stream. 326 of you are watching the stream. I hope that you found this kind of vaguely interesting.
Who should either be at work or at school.
or in America are up really late.
Up really late.
Yeah. So I will put I'm going to make a Lee's lesson series on the website, and I'll put a screen grab of Lee's practice routine up, and we're going to spend a couple of minutes now after lesson. I think we said we were going to just do a quick Q&A for them at the end. But that's so we've got the routine, we've got a direction, we've got some target things that we want to hit. I'd love to have you as a little goal for me that I think that it's realistic. I'd like to get you playing Little Wing by Christmas. So I don't know if you do an Anderton's Christmas Jam party. If you don't, you should. And I'd love for you to play Little Wing at that. And start by playing the intro right. That would be a killer goal for you to have to force the commitment.
Oh, cool.
So I think that would be a good one. We'll definitely have a look at Black Dog as well, and I want you to start, like I said, this transcribing. So you've got fun, major scale, Little Wing practice. We've got creation, liquid, writing down your stuff. Then your transcribing is going to be as much of Bad Love as you can. I'm going to have a listen to it right now and make suggestions as to where to start, whether to start with the riff or start with the solo. But just trying to work it out and trying to write it down as best you can. That's
cool.
Does that sound like a good starting point for you?
You might have to remind me again just technically how you write things like bends and stuff when I'm doing
I'll do that for you right now. So
cool.
There's your first lesson out of the way.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome.
Okay. It's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
For all of us, mate. Yeah. For all of us. So let me just bring in my little Mevo.
This is where we get to see what questions we've been asked.
We can't post links here. Google JustinGuitar major scales. Let's see if we can't. Where do we get the chat up here?
Oh, wow. Will we stop the Mevo thing? Shall I look on? Is it easy?
No. We can see it on Mevo. I just can't remember how to see the chat. That's annoying because I know I've done it before. What's that one doing? Oh, no, that's just shrunk up the whole. See, look, it just went out and everyone saw. I love that.
Very cool.
It's cool. What's that? That's putting in a picture. What's that one?
Multiple angles.
Wow. Oh, so we can switch. Look, we can switch between. Now it's just Lee.
I remember this on watching a Mevo demo.
And now it's just Justin.
I think it's very, very cleverly decides what angles it thinks it likes, and you can just kind of go, "That's what you're watching." No, now that's what you're watching.
Wow.
It was very clever.
Yeah.
This is becoming a Mevo sales demonstration.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very cool though.
Okay. There we go. Oh, that's just
but I have no idea how you see the questions.
No. So, how's Lee getting on with learning notes on the neck? Oh, good question. How's Lee getting on with learning notes on the neck?
Has Pete Honore written that? Because that was the one thing that I said to him as I left this morning. I was just like, I hope he doesn't ask me about how I'm getting on learning notes on the neck, because I'm not.
Okay, you just added it back into your practice routine, but not for this week.
Right.
Why is it going badly?
It's just one of those things I haven't practiced. And to be honest with you, there was a tiny piece of me that wondered whether or not I could actually do with seeing it just written down, just like as in.
I'll get you one. I'll get you.
So let's find Justin. We're on Justin Sanderco though, aren't
we? Yeah. I don't think it's called JustinGuitar. Hang on.
Well, let's hope not. That's why I said it was going to be, but it is. I think it is JustinGuitar.
No,
let's have a little look.
No.
Oh no, we are live. Here we go. So let's jump on that, and then I've got some questions. Here we go. Right.
/ oh,
there's hundreds of questions. Right, I'll just quickly squiz through.
It is Justin Sandico, yeah.
Yeah, got it now. So, Jake from the State Farm says, he is amazing. Obviously talking about you.
No, it's just talking about you. It's like, okay, why haven't I got
I'm being told to do it slower. And the guitar practice as well.
Yeah.
Jason is very good. Stop yapping and play your guitars. So it's kind of, he's teaching me.
Yeah. It's a lesson. This is different to the normal stuff. This
says I've gotten so much better since I started hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Very kind of you to say. Up, down, down. Oh crap! Yeah, that's basically me. Exactly. Come on, where are some questions? Maybe no one's asking questions because we didn't ask them to ask questions. So.
Well, no, there's quite a few things here. Please talk about transcribing chords. That's something that I think would be helpful, but not for right now, because that's something that I've talked quite a lot. If you go to the transcribing section of my website and look at there's a whole lesson on transcribing chords, listening to the bass note. In fact, there's a whole series on transcribing for people who can't transcribe, so you might check that out. Any Tommy Emmanuel lessons coming up? I haven't done any because I was going to do some with Tommy, but that never happened because we couldn't get diary scheduling together, and now it seems to have just gone by the way, but I might try and reconnect that. At some point I'm going to do an Angelina lesson and maybe Mombasa and some other stuff, but just because I love that stuff, and it'll be fun teaching it. See, I can't get the questions up.
Okay, so I've got my this is from Jamie Porthouse. He says, "Hi Justin, my question is, when soloing, do you pick a scale that you stick to, or do you use the chords and arpeggios, etc.? I'm struggling as to when to know to jump out of the scale."
Okay, so that's a really good question. So long term, you don't want to think about anything at all. So the idea is that I've practiced all my scales and my licks and all of that stuff enough that when I play, I don't have to think about those things, that they just happen by themselves. So this is a little bit like I want to explain getting to the journey rather than what I'm doing right now. So most of it's about words and language, which is why I've just been talking to Lee about this lick book idea. I'm not saying that everyone should write down the licks, and I don't have a lick book. I just think it's a really valuable tool. But I have collections of like jazz licks and things that I'm learning or working on. But the idea is that so long as you're thinking in terms of language and playing a phrase, then you might end up jumping out of the scale. So if I'm thinking of blues, you're probably going to think like A minor pentatonic as being a starting point, but there's lots of other notes that you could think about, or other scales you could think about, but you're better off just thinking in terms of phrases and licks, and that's how you jump between them. I think that's the short answer. If you, again, have a look at my blues lead course. I'm not trying to just like brush you off, but I can't give you a comprehensive answer in a few seconds, but if you go to the Blues Lead 1 course on my website, that'll answer all of that stuff, I think, in the process.
I would say as well, massively the same dilemma for me. That feeling, I need to get to the point where it becomes second nature to play others. Not second nature, I just need the confidence to know, I think in the heat of the battle, what happens is you're sort of semi-prepared to kind of, you know a bit more of the theory, and kind of like, okay, those notes kind of should work, shouldn't they, like that? But then in the heat of the battle, it's just like, just go straight back to what you know, isn't it?
Okay.
The same old stuff over and over.
It's straight back to what you know, but what I want to do with you is expand what you're confident with, and that's so the idea again, just for any of you guys out there, the idea I want Lee to make a lick book where he's writing down the licks that he plays. So when we then look at the lick book, we can go, well, here's these licks, how does this work? How can we expand on that one lick so that in the heat of battle you go, oh, here's my lick that I know already really well. How I can now change that into all of these other licks, and then it becomes a whole new collection of stuff. I think that's going to be an important part of the journey. Okay, so we're getting the questions here. Fantastic video, keep them coming. So the plan is we're going to be doing this at this time every 2 weeks where possible. So there might be occasions where I've got other stuff on, or Lee's away, or we're on holidays or whatever, but we're going to try and do this as a regular thing so that you can watch how Lee progresses. We'll probably sort out a little bit more of the cameras and how, what the best. I keep looking at my camera over here because I've got my actual video camera, but actually you're coming out the Mevo, which is over there. So yeah, that's something. What we might find find useful is both of us. We can come back and answer some questions on this afterwards.
I mean,
well.
they're mainly all aimed. Again, lots of them are aimed very specific technique questions that people are asking you, really. So
okay. So look, guys, if I stopped doing the live. I stopped doing the live streams because I felt like a lot of the question stuff was getting a little bit samey, but maybe I should start doing a little bit more of this, the Mevo live stream every week, and do an open Q&A where and then until I stumble on a good question, and then spend a bit of time on that. So let me explore how that works. So yeah, I'm going to make a web page for this series directly after I've made Lee's practice schedule for him. And like I said, I'll put a screenshot of that for those of you guys that want to follow along. Maybe there's some of you out there that also want to learn Little Wing, Black Dog and transcribe Bad Love, in which case you probably find this kind of routine that I'm setting for Lee useful, but you should adapt it to better fit your own journey as well, I think.
Cool. Well, there we go. It's been fun hanging out in your man cave as well.
Yeah.
It's very cool here. I wish you guys could kind of see around. There's lots of pedals that you'd like to own and amps that you want to plug into.
It's Toy City in here.
Yeah, and some nice guitars, including the world's heaviest Les Paul, which is for anybody that ever wonders why Gibson started chambering the bodies on some Les Pauls.
Yeah.
This is why.
I don't know how many kilos it is, but it's a lot.
That's honestly and truthfully...
Really?
I think it's probably the heaviest Les Paul I've ever lifted up.
Wow.
Which is crazy. But there's some nice guitars here.
You've played that telly, haven't you?
I like that telly.
Yeah.
There's like a real sort of like Mark Knopfler-y coloured. Oh,
yeah.
What, you've got your Kinman, you've gone full Australia on us.
Full Australia on the,
that's a lot like mine.
That was my first ever proper guitar.
Yeah.
When I bought, I was doing a gig in Tassie, and this kind of Australian celebrity guitar player called Simon Patterson came to the gig. I'd met him before, but it was still thrilling for me that Simon was at my gig, and I came off and he said, "Man, you play great, you know, you're playing some amazing things, but man, your tone is terrible. You need to go and buy yourself a Strat." And I was like, because I played a Jackson Dinky or something at that point, and I was still in my heavy metal phase. So literally, the following Monday, I went to my local music store and bought that guitar. And I did all of my big practice days was exactly on that very instrument. It's all been changed. They're the little Teflon, what are they called?
Graphtec.
Graphtec.
And you've changed the...
No, bridge is the same.
I wonder what that is. So this is 1989, and I've got an 86.
This was this started life as a Strat Plus Deluxe.
Right.
So I've changed the nut. Yeah. The nut went. This is one of those fancy tuning. What are they called?
Tusk.
No, the guy, the funny tuning.
Bright.
Fenton. Buzz Fenton.
Buzz something.
Yeah, so this is a Buzz Fenton tuning system bridge. Nut. The tuning pegs have changed. The string tree is different. The nut, the frets have been changed. All of the I've still got the original pickguard with the original pickups in it, but so I just took the whole thing off and redid it. So almost everything in it is not a Strat anymore, but.
This is this was a real, because I put these on, my Strat has
the same thing.
This different trem system, but it's got these what did I say they were? Graphtec. And the sales pitch with these was like, never break a string again. And I bought them even though I'd never really broken a string before, but I bought them anyway because that was like.
I used to break strings there, and I had changed them, and I haven't broken one. I haven't broken one there since, so I've sometimes broken them at the other end. But look, I love this as well. Where I had a temper tantrum and I couldn't play this thing, and I went, poof, and threw it on the floor, and I'm like, oh my god, you idiot! And I've had to live with it. Oh, my cool funny stickers. Again, they've been on there for a long time, but I don't want to take them off because they're kind of laughy at the memory sort of thing.
What did you have glued to this at one point or other?
No, this is, all of my guitars have this special stuff on it. These are actually like microscopic number details, and it glows. It glows. Right, so all of my guitars and all of my guitar gear has this thing. So if anyone nicked it, the cops can scan it with a little thing, and it'll say it's Justin's and it's been stolen. Anyway, so look, there you go. Nice. There's our chitter chatter as well. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found it vaguely interesting and fun.
Vaguely.
go and check it out. Well, at least vaguely. And
I'm back again in a couple of weeks' time, same time. So apologies if this is an inconvenient time for you.
Or slightly earlier because we were a bit flapping around.
Yeah, maybe you might try and get it close to 9.
Yeah,
I just realised it's good time for your Australian buddies, isn't it? Really,
yeah,
sort of like nice sociable time.
Yeah,
kids
absolutely.
have gone to bed. Get the guitar
Might
out.
have been some Aussies there.
You never know.
So yeah, hopefully this will be the start of a really fun adventure, mate.
Yes. Thank you very much again.
Dude.
All right.
Thank you all. I'll see you.
Bye, everyone.
Later.